Hello traders, it is Wednesday evening, May 15th, and that means that it's time for my weekly video. I am going to find you some great stock picks this week. Before I get started, I'd like to mention that we are going to be looking at Option Stalker. That's going to be the source of our trade ideas tonight. It has a ton of features and tools. You can learn more about it in Stalker training on my website. I have probably 100 plus videos. And you can subscribe right on my homepage, www.optionstalker.com. So everything you see tonight is included. In fact, Option Stalker has real-time quotes included in the platform. You don't have to have a separate brokerage account. You don't have to pay for extra data feeds. It's provided free through the IEX exchange. So without further ado, let me also say that if you like tonight's video, you like the content, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. As always, I like to start out with the prior picks that were highlighted in the previous video. So I'm going to click on my list and I'm going to go down to May 8th, a week ago. And before I start clicking on these picks, it's important for us to always look at what the market is doing. You can see in the last 2 weeks, we've had a pretty steady market decline. We broke horizontal support here at the 285 level, and we gapped down on Monday, and we've been able to recover the last 2 days. This is today's trading, Wednesday, and you can see we opened on the low, closed on the high, had a big range. This is what we call a bullish engulfing pattern. So even with all the bad news regarding U.S.-China trade negotiations, the market has been able to hold its own above this 200-day moving average. In fact, today we even had weak economic news from China. Their industrial production fell pretty dramatically, hasn't been this low in 8 years. Also, their retail sales hit a level that we haven't seen since the financial crisis. So China's economic activity is waning, even though they've been stimulating the economy for the last year, monetary and fiscal stimulus. So that's a negative, but the market was able to shrug that off. Today we had news that Trump was not going to impose new tariffs on European autos. The market liked that news and it moved higher. I still think that we might have some trouble ahead, but given that stocks have been able to shoulder all of the bad news that's come out this week, and we haven't even gotten close to that 200-day moving average, we are going to be focusing on bullish picks. A strong trend like this is going to be very hard to reverse. So we don't want to buy the first, or we don't want to short the first dip. In fact, this will probably end up being a decent buy. We'll get a little bit of a rally, perhaps back to the all-time high. If, by chance, there's a U.S.-China trade deal, they're still trying to work it out. They were in the final 10% of the process, just looking at enforcement and implementation. So if we get a deal, we'll probably take out this all-time high. If we do not get a trade deal, we'll probably come just short of it, maybe the 292, 293 level on the SPY. In any event, I see today's bullish engulfing pattern as bullish for the next week. We've also got a downward sloping trend line here. We would love to see this trend line breached to the upside, and we can draw it in right here. We'd love to see a breakout above this trend line, because then there's a chance that we have a bull flag formation and a rally up. So I'm bullish. Start with the market. It looks pretty good. All the bad news is out there and the market's still been able to hold its own. So we didn't know how things would play out a week ago. We knew that there were tensions between the US and China, so we had to have a couple of bearish picks. And my picks last week were contingent on the SPY being below 285. And I emphasized that last week. Well, we were below 285. And here's how Caterpillar did. This was a short that we highlighted. And you can see the stock was very weak and it fell from 133.50 down to about, gosh, almost 123.50 here on Monday. So that was a $10 drop. Really nice pick. Ford was a long that we looked at. We were not going to buy it unless it broke out above this level and unless the SPY was above 285. Neither condition was met, but it shows that this was a nice stock pick. It held its own through all the turmoil. JCI, another long, same terms. We needed it through this resistance level and we needed the SPY above 285, and the SPY was not above 285, but you can see the stock wanted to move higher. I still like this pick, and I still think it moves higher. MET was another long. Look at how well the stock held up. Did not get through this resistance level. SPY was not above 285, but you can see how well it held up. SQ was a short. You can see it had a nice drop from about 70.40 down to about the 62.40 level. So that's an $8 drop. We probably would have been short, let's see, probably more along the lines in here, which is about the $66 range. So it had about a $5 drop, a decent short as well. But now the stock is starting to recover, and you should be taking profits given the bullish engulfing pattern that we saw today. Zynga was another long that we looked at last week. We wanted it through this horizontal resistance level. It poked through there briefly today. I still like this long. Really held up nicely. So, all told, the shorts did what they were supposed to. Caterpillar and SQ went down when the SPY was below 285. Ford, JCI, MET, ZNGA all looked really solid, and they might still be good candidates if the market continues to move higher. So let's try and find some new trades this week. I'm going to keep this so easy because if you sign up for Option Stalker and you want to put, let's say, 5 minutes a night into your research, you'll be able to do it. I'm going to click on Scanner. I'm going to click on Bullish. I'm going to click on Pop Bull. That is my favorite search for swing trades. All we're going to do is going to look through these candidates. Love it. Too big a move. Don't want to chase. ZG, really nice. So here you have a downward trend that was broken to the upside. Earnings after the close, you can see the stock moved up and it pulled back down to this 100-day moving average. Boom, boom, boom. Now it's above the 200-day moving average. I like it. In fact, I was buying this stock Monday. When the market was falling apart, I saw this stock get back above the 100-day moving average, and I had seen that the stock wanted to move after earnings. So it was a great play. I've been long it for a couple of days, in and out day trading it. Z, same symbol. Oh, I like this one. This is definitely going to go on the list. So you've got your horizontal compression here, earnings after the close, gap up, stock never even retraces, which tells me that any profit takers wanted to keep the stock. They felt like the news was good enough that this thing was going to keep moving higher. We have a upward sloping trend line, and we have a breakout through the prior resistance level, and we've got big volume. I definitely like this stock. So we're going to put up a indicator here, 10 SI, and we're going to look at the orange line below. You can see that it's above 0, and that is a sign that the stock has relative strength. So yes, this definitely goes on the list. Now there may not be liquid options on it, But it's a $14 stock. What do we care? It's a cheap stock. So I'm going to write that down. That could be our bullish pick of the week. Hopefully we'll find another one that we like. This is nice. You can see the horizontal breakout, but the stock doesn't go anywhere. So I'm not too crazy about it. SNPS, you can see the stock has been trending higher. You get a pullback here. This is one of the bull flag setups that I had mentioned to you. Really nice rally today. It's a good looking stock. Got decent relative strength as well above the major moving averages. I like it. I can't say that it's going to make the list, and we need to see it get through this horizontal resistance as well. COUP, I like this. You can see the stock has been holding its own. The relative strength is good, so even with the market sell-off, the stock was able to shoulder that move, and now it's been able to move through horizontal resistance. On a day like today with the market up big, I would have preferred to see it close on its high. That would have got me a little bit more interested in it. Amazon. Okay, here we go. This looks good. You can see this nice, strong uptrend. You can see that it's well above the 200-day moving average. Never got close. You can also see, if we draw a trend line here, that we've got a downward sloping trend line right here. And that is one of the bull flag setups. You can see the stock poking right through here. So I like Amazon. I think that could be another really nice pick. So that we know has liquid options on it. So I'm going to write that down as well. And let's see, we've got ZEN. Nothing going on there. Compressing, no breakout yet. A little bit noisy. Visa, really nice, tight, upward sloping channel. You got this bull flag setup right here. You can see that the stock was strong relative to the SPY. In option Stalker, you can use this orange line. It'll tell you all you need to know. But if you wanted to, you can overlay the SPY. It's the gray line, excuse me. And you can see how the market sold off hard, but the stock treaded water. That is relative strength. That is our edge. I like it. I like Visa. I think that's another one we could put on the list. Now, Visa doesn't move much, so this might set up well for a bullish put spread or a put credit spread. And so you would sell below this 157.50 level right here, and you might buy the 155 put. So it'd be a $2.50 bullish put spread. And I'm not quite sure what the premiums on that would be, but if the stock closes below 157.50, you would want to reel it in. The good news is that you can see that this stock has been able to shoulder everything the market's thrown at it. Now that's what it did on Monday. So it poked down, but the S&P 500 was down 70 points on Monday. So that is a really big market decline, and you can see how the stock held firm. So I like Visa for a bullish put spread. Nothing great going on here, but the stock does move nicely. When it trends very nicely. We've got a little trend here. This is basically market related. You can see the SPY there. You can see the bull flag that's setting up. I think this stock goes higher, but it's not going to make the list. Good relative strength. This is nice. This is a good stock. You can see the compression here. You can see the breakout. You can see how the stock is holding during the market decline, and it wants to push higher. So this is a nice looking stock. I would buy a breakout to a new high. This is sweet. This is really nice. Look at that nice, tight, upward sloping trend line breaking out through horizontal resistance, This is Monday's price action. Never flinched. HRS looks fantastic. So we're going to put HRS on the list. Now you can see that the stock has been compressing for a long time. We'll zoom out and we'll see what it looks like on a longer term basis. We've got a pretty deep trough here. Stock spending a lot of time in this range, and it finally gets through. The longer and tighter the range, the bigger and more sustained the breakout. This stock has a nice head of steam. I love the relative strength. Love the way that it shouldered the market decline this week. HRS looks great. KKR, too choppy. So look at that. We went right to pop bull, which is what you would do every day. If you saw something that you really liked, and I think we had now as one of the stocks we looked at, here's what you do. You click GTC and you put your alert line right there. When it breaks out, you log into the computer, launch option Stalker, and you'll see a pop-up right in the middle of the screen that says, hey, remember me? You were interested if I got through a price point. I'm through it. Maybe you want to trade me. So that's how easy it is. And if you drop these alert lines when you're doing your research, the stock doesn't have to set up right now. Let's say we were looking at the stock back in here. Drop your alert line right up here. When you start logging into your computer, you might have 3 or 4 candidates ready-made that you want to trade and consider. You didn't have to lift a finger because you already used the alert lines previously. So we've got some nice picks right out of the gate. I'm going to try and find a bearish pick. Bearish is going to be a little bit more challenging given that the market has been up the last day. In particular, yesterday was a pretty decent day too. This is a nasty slide with a big horizontal breakdown. After earnings, you can see earnings were before the open. Closes on its low today. We can go to a 5-minute chart and you can see nasty heavy selling all day, even with the market up. There's what the market did, up. There's what the stock did, down. This is our edge right here, finding stocks like this. Unfortunately, I can't put OSTK on the list because it's hard to borrow. It's a tough stock to short. I traded in the chat room today, shorted it, and I can show you the setup for those of you who might be shorter term traders. Had an absolutely great wedge formation that's set up. I'm going to take these moving averages off. Right here you can see how we had a wedge pattern forming, and I'm going to draw it for you so that there's no question where the wedge is. Stock announces earnings. There's the lower part of the wedge. There's the upper part of the wedge, and we've got a breakdown right here. And this is where I shorted it, and I'm going to show you the market. I'll overlay the SPY so you can see what the market was doing at the time. So here the stock is making a lower high. There's the high. Comes up and challenges it, but it makes a lower high, and that is very weak. Breaks through the bottom end of this wedge pattern. It's going down. And I made really nice money on this. I covered it right in here on that green bar. So great trade. Look at that market rally, but the stock is going down, and I found it using the option Stalker earnings search. Very, very easy. In the previous 2 or 3 weeks, I've been using that earnings search a lot. I'm going to click just to show you how it works. So we can search by option liquidity. Always want to make sure we've got some decent options. And then I'm going to reduce this because I don't know what the option liquidity is for A, but I'm going to click post earnings. And these are stocks that announced after the close yesterday or before the open today. And I also marked stock is below the prior day low. So on a day when the market opened, well, it opened to the downside, but it quickly rallied off of those lows today. I was looking for a stock that was below the low yesterday, and this candidate came right up. So it announced earnings, it's below the prior day's low. Usually I'll also mark heavy volume. I'm going to click through this list and I'll show you some of the other stocks that were on it. And this is what we use to day trade. Another example, look at this. Stock drifting lower, so it's going to come up on our relative weakness search. Market going higher, such an easy short. Here's what makes it even easier. I'll click the buy and sell signals on it. You get a sell signal right there. That means short it, especially when you've got relative weakness. Cover when you see a green arrow. Simple. So simple. And you could search for this. Or you can just use the search I used and then just click through and look for those setups to line up. Most of the stocks that were hit hard this morning, you almost need a little bit of a bounce so that you can short it once that bounce fails. And we had the market moving higher, so a lot of these stocks were pulled by their hair higher off of the lows this morning. But as soon as the market started to flatten out and the rally started to stall, guess what? The sellers came in. We'll look at one final one. So that's how we do earnings plays. I'm going to take this down and just simply mention that we can go back and look for previous earnings releases using this feature. Then we mark the days, the range that we'd like to search. We can also look forward for stocks that are about to announce earnings, because we have a way of finding stocks that like to rally or sell off into the earnings announcement. So enough with a custom search. We're going to keep it easy. We went through Pop Bear. I'm going to also use a search called 10RSW Bear 60. Wow, what the heck does all that mean? One option, relative strength, weakness, bear 60. So we're looking for relative weakness. This is a bearish search, and we're looking for that relative weakness on a 60-minute basis. You can see in the last hour of trading today, the market was relatively strong. It wasn't falling apart. We had a nice rally and then it pulled back. But these stocks were weak relative to the market. So I wanted to find stocks that were not able to hold gains. And I'm going to zoom out. But there you can see an example of how the stock sold off into the close. And I'm going to put up the daily chart, and we'll get our moving averages back up there. And now we're just going to take a look and see if anything sets up well for a bearish trade. Well, Baba announced earnings before the open, and it's above that 100-day moving average, and it had a positive day. Not an overwhelmingly great day, but it's not a good bearish candidate. This stock is filling in the gap. It's held up relatively well. No thank you. This stock is basing down in here. I don't see a lot of weakness. It's been able to find support right in here. It didn't sell off on Monday. This stock actually looks quite strong. I like this. And sometimes when you're running these searches, I'm just looking for weakness in the last hour of trading. Now, the stock could have been up $10 and given back a little money on the close. So you're going to see a candle like this, even though it's coming up on the relative weakness search. So I'm looking for stocks that have actually drifted lower all day and really got hit hard in the last hour. But this stock looks good if it can get through the 200-day moving average. That's also horizontal resistance. I like this nice steady trend right here. Earnings after the close 2 days ago. So yeah, this is a nice move. This stock could continue higher. Well, what do I do with that information? I drop an alert line right above that 200-day moving average so that when it meets that price criteria, I get a pop-up alert. My work will be done for me. I like this steady selling here. I like the fact that it's below the two major moving averages. You've got relative weakness here. Got decent volume, so this is a pretty good looking short just based on that information, but it's choppy, too choppy for my taste. This is nice. This is a good short. Really nice, tight uptrend. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Very strong move. Earnings after the close. Look out below. Stock tries to hold this support level. Monday comes along. Stock pokes below the 100-day moving average, and it has not been able to get above that 100-day moving average even on a day like today when we had a really good, strong rally. So if the market declines, I like this stock below the 100-day moving average. And then you would use the 100-day moving average as your stop. But we need to have the market below SPY 285 to even consider this trade. And the stock has to stay below this 100-day moving average. I would even say that I would prefer, and we'll make this part of the contingency, I want to have it take out that low. Take out that low from Monday, continue this downtrend. I don't want it creeping back above here and trying to fill this in. I want to see this downtrend continue. And it's got plenty of room down to the 200-day moving average. So this is going to be at least one of the shorts. We'll see if something else pops up. Too choppy. No thanks. Not too excited by this. That's Alibaba as well. I've already talked about that. This is a nice downward sloping trend line. Big gap up after earnings. This is actually a pretty good bullish candidate. So what happens is stocks announce earnings, everybody piles into the stock, and then you get some profit taking. And it takes quite a while for the news to be digested, and finally you get the profit takers out of the way and you get bona fide buyers who want to come in and support the stock. And this support level right here has been holding nicely. You can see even Monday the stock did not drop dramatically, and this is a bull flag setup. I like it. I'm going to drop the trend line here. Whoops. You can see the trend line right there, and we've broken through it. So I like this stock to move higher and probably challenge that 152 level. So it's got plenty of upside. I'm not going to add it to our bullish list, but MDB looks good. Looks like it's got maybe even $12 worth of upside. Nice swing trade. Pretty bearish. Below the 100-day moving average, not able to really rally much today. I would short this stock below that horizontal support level, which it just started to touch this morning. Nice downtrend below two major moving averages. GD is another really good looking short. So I'm going to add that to the list. And need to have the SPY below 285 and the stock has to be below 165. We'll use this 100-day moving average as the stop initially, but as the stock moves lower, you want to move that stop down to the 165 level. Baidu, really drifting lower. That's a pretty good short. Got a gap here below the horizontal support level. Yep, that would be a good short. Not bad. Kind of chopping around trying to consolidate its losses right now. That's a bullish stock. Nothing there. Nothing there. This could be a good bearish pick below this 200-day moving average and below that low right there, but it is choppy. Nice sell-off, major support, two converging moving averages right here. You've also got horizontal support running in around the 130 level. So it would need to drop below that, and then I would consider it below 130 with a stop right around these two moving averages. Retailers have been weak, so this sector is one to watch for weakness. We had U.S. retail sales came in today. They were down 0.2%, and a increase of 0.4% was expected, so a relatively weak number. A lot of retailers are starting to post results. They're not good. Most of the stocks are selling off, whether you look at Macy's, Target's been a short that I've played over the last few days. So we've got our bullish candidates and we've got our bearish candidates. So now I'm going to go and create a list. This is very easy. We used Pop Bull. We checked out Pop Bear. Didn't see a whole lot, so we just went to relative weakness search. Tried to see stocks that were weak on a 60-minute basis. Let me tell you about something that's fantastic. If you happen to be a day trader, here's what we do. We go in and we look for market movement. Let's bring up the 5-minute chart. So we look for market movement, and let's say that we had a really big run up like we had here. What I like to do is when you've got a huge surge in the market, let's say it's a 60-minute rally, I love doing exactly the opposite and going in and looking at this search. Show me stocks that have been weak during the last 60 minutes, because I know that if the market does turn around and the market starts to sell off, these are going to be the stocks that drop because they're already relatively weak even during the strongest of market conditions. Same thing holds true if we get a big drop on the open like we did today. Guess what I'm looking for? I go into the bullish and I say, hey, what's been strong in the last 30 minutes? We've got the market tanking here. Show me something that's been strong. Ideally, you'd see a move like this in the market where it's down, down, down. And then you'd click on this and you'd see stocks that are up, up, up. In this case, we had the market open much lower and then it didn't take long and it shot higher. So probably would, there were a lot of stocks that were showing relative strength. But all morning, I was looking at the relative weakness list. So let's go in. We're going to create this list. And we're going to call it May 15. And we're going to type in our picks. We had ENPH, which I really like, and I'll give it one final review once I add all these symbols. Okay, there's our list. So we're going to go through and take a look at these one more time, and we'll put a game plan together for each one. First one on the list was Amazon. I like this, but we need to get above the high from yesterday, and then we're going to use that close as our stop. So this would be a bull flag formation, and again, we need the SPY above 285. Very, very important. SPY above 285. We want to make sure that we have a market tailwind. If Donald Trump tweets something or Xi says something that's negative related to U.S.-China trade negotiations and the market starts to sell off, we do not want to be out there buying stocks. Market first, market first, market first. SPY above 285, Amazon above this closing price. We want to buy it, and we will use that close as our stop. This stock just wants to go. So I think regardless of what the market does, it's going to continue to grind higher. I would say we can buy it right away tomorrow. It's got a really nice head of steam. This is your stop right here, the prior high. When do you get out, by the way? If that stock loses its momentum and it starts to stall out and you've got really good profits in the trade, exit. If it's still maintaining its relative strength, stick with it. As long as the market's moving higher and the stock's moving higher, let it run. If you start getting really big profits in it, you can always use the prior day's low as your stop out point. GD, here we're going to wait for the stock to drop below this horizontal support level. When it does, provided that the SPY is below 285, we will short it and we will use this as our stop. If you want a longer term play and you're a little bit more aggressive, you can use this 100-day moving average as your stop. You won't have as much in and out if you use that approach because you've got a little bit of cushion up here. So if it drops below here, you've got probably about 5 points worth of cushion. So it can move around a bit. HRS, we absolutely love it. We want to see this trend line right here hold. So you can draw the trend line. As long as that holds and the stock keeps moving higher, we're going to stick with the position. SPY greater than 285. Visa, I think, is a really good play. We've got this bull flag setting up here with the stock breaking out above that downtrend right there. And this is a nice horizontal support level. I like selling the 157.50, 155 bullish put spread with a stop if the stock closes below 157.50. XLNX, this is a short of ours. We want to see it below the low from Monday, which was the open from Monday. And if it's below that level, we want to short it, contingent on the SPY below 285. If the stock is below that level and we are short, we'll use this 100-day moving average as the stop. As the stock moves lower, you can also use this open as your stop. So market conditions are pretty choppy, pretty volatile. So if you get into this and you have some nice profits in it the first day, I'd just move your stop right to this level. That way you've got all the downside exposure, but you have literally no risk because you're placing your stop almost right at your entry point. So XLNX, bearish. GD, bearish. Amazon, ENPH, HRS, V, bullish. That's your game plan for the week. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I look forward to telling you about all the money that you could have made if you had taken these picks. Thank you. Have a good night.